Oh yeah, this is the Sims. And Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh my God, Knuckles. The little tail man. Fire.
That's not Knuckles. That's
What?
Tails.
That's Knuckles?
No,
Oh, that
it's
is Tails. You're right. Knuckles is the one with the other, it's like the red
Folks,
one.
this is what we have to deal with before the show, but welcome in everybody. This is PGA Live Before Lock. We're talking a little Farmers Insurance Open here at Awesemo. I am Ben Rasa. I am joined by someone who needs to bone up on their Sonic vocabulary, Eric Lindquist. Knuckles is an echidna and he is red, as I'm wearing. Tails.
That's what I said.
Okay.
I just said the red guy. I
thought you
corrected
said
myself.
Okay. That is fair. Fair.
Now we can go on with the show.
Now we can go on with the show.
Yeah.
We got the important information out there. We're all a little off today because it's Tuesday. It feels like Wednesday, obviously. We're doing a little Tuesday Live Before Lock PGA. It's just not something we've ever done. But this tournament doesn't want to go up against the NFL, and I totally respect that. I'm excited. I love this tournament. Torrey Pines is one of my favorite courses. It's a staple of early season PGA. I believe that you feel the same way, do you not?
This is the day, this is the tournament that the golf season starts because it's a lot of weaker fields. We've had more studs than I would actually anticipate. Of course, the Tournament of Champions, that's all fun and games. Like for the most part, lots of easy par fives, crazy low scoring, more so this year than ever before. Sony Open, it's nice to get a full field event in there. The Amex, we've had better studs, more guys that have been playing out there than in years past. So at least that was enjoyable. But this is the time where everybody comes together. And this is your first real field, real serious PGA event we have this year.
No doubt. The Amex, not a fan. The triple course rotation was tough. Obviously, last week, we had a lot of long shots littering the leaderboard. It took really wacky lineups. But if you did find some of those low-owned players, you really, really launched up the board. And that was the key. Just a weird week, though. No doubt about it. Now we kind of get back to having a lot of top-end players. Last week it was Rahm, Cantlay, and then to me it fell off a cliff. Here we have a very incremental drop off at the top. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on the Amex. Is there anything that you want to say about last week specifically?
Well, after one round in textbook Eric Lindquist fashion, I went tilting on twitter.com because I just did not have a very good start. And I thought I was going to lose every dollar that I put into play. You can definitely have good decision makings in your builds. And for me, having Rahm catch up to Cantlay and kind of get there, that was a major difference for me going into the weekend. Massive overweight exposure to it, but nobody had as good of a weekend as our friend Adam Scher at Ship My Money DFS, 150K takedown. Dude doesn't know 5 golfers and yet goes out and puts a W on the board. That was awesome to see. He's still hanging out in New York as a result. Maybe he'll come back to work one day in a real capacity at his home spot, but can't blame him. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, insane because last week I was sweating with him the big tournament and he didn't get there. He was right there, came in third. And then I talked to him on Sunday again and he was sweating that one and he came through. Lanto had a hole out eagle that really kind of sealed that deal late, but no, he's just been an absolute heater. We had him on the show yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Which was a good time. Maybe I'll go down and see him before the blizzard comes to New York, but I don't want to spend any more time on the Amex because we've got a lot of golfers to get to. You see Chad is already in good form. And as you guys know, and as we always like to start the show, it's with our friends Yahoo. And obviously they've been powering this show and a lot of the shows here, and for good reason, because they've really stepped up their prize pools. They've really stepped up their offerings. And if you haven't been over there, we have fantastic deals for you. You're able to get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum if you are a new user and deposit. All you got to do, you sign up for that account, use the link in the description of this video, deposit and play. It is right on the screen there. You're going to see that free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum with first time deposit and paid contest entry. I've been playing over there more and more. Super soft pricing. You can get guys like Molinari, for example, is the flat min on Yahoo. So you can build teams that are just ridiculous this week in the PGA lobby at Yahoo.
Yeah, and you can also play in the free roll for the PGA Cup. Still a good time to be getting into that. Obviously, it started up in the fall, but you're going to have free money that's handed out every single week over at Yahoo playing in that. So you have that opportunity. They've increased the prize pools in a number of spots up to $4K to first now for $20 entry fee. Again, a little bit more winnable tournament, but not only that, the $1 1K guaranteed. Looking at something even like that, if you're trying to get your feet wet in PGA DFS and you're looking for a payout structure that's really going to do you well, max of 34 entries you can play in that one. But there's no better place to go build your bankroll. I think for the majors, they're going to have some massive contests. For NFL, they've done some massive contests. Best in the industry, lowest rake you're going to find. No doubt about it. You need to be playing at Yahoo.
So yeah, absolutely. Well said. So you've got that option. And again, we're going to dive into all these plays, but let's start with how we always start. We've got the weather and we've got the withdraws. I'll get the withdraws out of the way. We've got two. We've got KH Lee and Charlie Hoffman. That is all. Oh, and Chris Stroud. Okay.
Chris Stroud got added too.
All right. There you go. 3 up, 3 down. Get them out of here. It's been real. What do you see on the weather? Are we looking for any wave stacks? Nothing. Okay. Nothing. So you're just playing this straight up?
I see nothing. Do you see? You said that as if you might have had something in mind. Because I see nothing. There's legitimately no wind. Again, Wednesday to Saturday. Plus, I've got a friend who lives across from Torrey Pines. So I can tell you for certainty, no rain in the forecast. He's like, it has been perfect, calm, everything. It's supposed to be mid 60s. I will say, you get over here at Torrey Pines, 7,700 plays a lot longer at sea level in like mid 60s temperatures than what it would at a US Open in the summer. So I'm kind of throwing a little bit of that data out the window for the most part. Obviously, it still has the same characteristics where you're going to have to drive the ball well. The rough can definitely be penal in some spots. There aren't a ton of trees to be blocking you out from anything. So when it is windy, that can be a defense of the golf course, an extra layer. There's none of that this week.
Seems fine. No, I wasn't trying to lead the witness there at all. I think you're going to be, listen, this is San Diego. This is a tournament that we see all the time, and I don't have it in front of me, but as far as I can tell, we pretty much never get like extremely adverse conditions here. It's a pretty straight up course. I do want to point in, and we're going to dive into Torrey in just a second, just for people that are new. If you're coming in and you don't know about this week, first of all, and this should be obvious because it's Tuesday, the golf tournament starts tomorrow. So that's step one. Put in your lineups on Wednesday. Step two, we're playing a rotational again. You got Torrey South, Torrey North, and then the weekend is just Torrey South twice. So you get 3 at the South course, 1 at the North course. The North course is much easier. Do you look at that when you're building, or do you just say that's kind of just a bonus? All my guys are going to play it like everyone else, but I'm focused on how they handle the South course.
I'm focused on how they handle the South. I mean, obviously you have to make the cut, but the North is just, it's different in so many regards. So for the people who don't know, it's shorter. You need to be making your hay over there because the South is just going to play tough no matter what. So, maybe a little bit of a bump to some par 5 scoring. You have some easy par 5s that exist over there on the North, but really there's a huge difference in putting surface too. You have POA that you're putting on the South golf course. You can get, later in the week, some of those spike marks. I don't really know how to analyze that, but you can definitely look at it as a different surface than bent grass. When they redid the North course, they overseeded it with some bent grass, kind of a strange choice for Southern California. You don't find that a lot for some of the coastal golf here. So I just kind of find it to be intriguing, but I think it putts a little bit better. I'm not sure if they're testing it out there and maybe bring it to the South at some point, but I'm not necessarily sure on the logic for that. But what I do know is that there are definitely some differences in putting between one surface and the other for a number of these players. I think you can find minute bumps where guys are good on both surfaces, but definitely just a small piece of information where, yeah, you need to be focused primarily on the South.
So when we talk about the South, you mentioned it's very long, it's difficult. It's not a course that historically you drive the ball well at. You're going to miss the fairway a lot. You're going to have to be creative to get up and down. And the other thing that stands out to me is that a lot of your iron shots are from 175 plus. You're not hitting a lot of wedges. You are really attacking from longer distances. So do you look at things like that when you're taking approach numbers? You look at long irons, par 5 scoring, scrambling. I mean, again, this is an all around test, but when you're building, when you're factoring in how you approach it, what is the skill set that you're really driven to?
Yeah, I love long irons. I love kind of looking at that 175 to 225 number. I think that makes a lot of sense. You have some tough par 3s that exist on this golf course too, that you really have to factor in for that back nine specifically. I mean, 16, 227, 11, 225. Those things are absolute beasts. And the front nine, 177 and 201, but they don't have that. One plays drastically uphill. I believe that's number 8 from having walked out there, like number 8 straight up the hill there, but pretty easy altogether. Just not like a birdieable 177. I mean, the par threes can definitely get you there on the back nine. So you're guaranteed to have those two shots. And then what's really underrated too is that you've got two par fives that are generally playing. They'll play different tee boxes here and there, but they're going to be over 600 yards every single day. So that's going to be number 9 in some capacity, can play up to 615. And then you've got number 13, which can play up to 621. Now, both of those kind of have like strange straight down and then straight up kind of situations. You have a pretty easy par 5 that's pretty gettable. I'm thinking of obviously 18. That's going to be your most gettable par 5 that exists on the golf course. I guess number 6 played easier last year, but I traditionally think even with the water on 18 that everybody, if you hit that fairway, is pretty capable of getting there into. Just can play a little bit longer in those regards. So even for par 5 scoring, you want some of those guys who are really, really bombing it and some superb drivers of the golf ball. I find myself falling into some of the builds where I'm willing to kind of embrace the longer hitters who, may or may not spray it here and there. Obviously, Bryson's somebody who doesn't spray it and just bombs it. So that's one thing to be said. But as you said, everybody's going to be missing fairways. It's usually mid 50% you're kind of looking at for fairways hit. That's some of the lowest numbers that you're going to find anywhere. So if somebody's not a particularly good driver of the golf ball, they better be damn good at getting it up and down.
You can kind of do that here. So like, I'm going to look at some of these past champions and they're not like Jason Day's one here, Justin Rose, Leishman. And on Sunday, he hit 3 fairways. You can work in it. Patrick Reed, the defending champ. These are not great drivers of the ball. In fact, in some regards, you could say that all this is it's a wash off the tee, and it's who can just be the most creative and get up and down and avoid those big numbers around the green, save some putts. It's ironic that Spees plays so bad here because when I hear that names, I feel like he kind of belongs.
He's never really been a good POA putter, though.
That's fair. He hasn't. But just his ability to work in and out of trouble, and we're going to get into Spees in just a few minutes. But I do think the only other point I want to bring up is that it's weird. The par 5s are so long that I actually think the shorter hitters in some regard who are always laying up could be at an advantage, like the Snedekers. And we've seen him excel here. They can get the wedges in their hand because they're not going to go for these. And some of these are pretty long. It's going to be, you're really going to have to smoke it off the tee to be able to get there. Obviously, it's always an advantage if you're driving it far, but there's a lot of ways to play this course. And I think this is the first week so far in 2022 where correlated teams for me is becoming pretty important. I'm not saying all 6, but like I'm going to have some teams that are off the tee very strong. I'm going to have some teams that are very weak off the tee, but are extreme scramblers, really good long iron players like the Deckies of the world and those guys. I think this is the type of week because Torrey South is not like these, joke courses we've been messing around with. This is a real course.
This is a real big boy,
real
pull
course.
Your pants up and hit a golf shot kind of golf course. Again, there's a reason that I love this place, and it's just, it really brings out all different types of players, but I'm still kind of probably valuing off the tee a little bit more than you. I mean, you're bringing up outliers. We have to talk about it in consideration of building your entire lineup. Now, if you can find the one guy who hits 3 fairways and still can put a number together, sounds great. But statistically, you're not going to have somebody who hits 3 fairways survive very often, if ever, on the South Course.
Yeah, there's definitely something to that. I guess what I'm saying is that when you look at when these guys or people who excel at Farmers, crushing strokes gained off the tee is not the recipe that you particularly need. You can't be awful off the tee, but if you gain 0 off the tee, it doesn't mean that you can't compete here. I think we've seen that enough to say that is not the only way to get it done around here.
That is more than fair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't be muting yourself. I
muted myself for a second. What happens is I always like chug. I don't know why. Like I have Topo Chico. We're in love with like that mineral water. And you always end up getting like a little burpee when you come off of one of those. It's just
what is it called?
It's called Topo Chico. You've never heard of this?
I have never heard of that. No.
Oh my God. You need to go find some Topo Chico.
I'm not going to do that.
It is complete fire. Mineral water. And then they have the lime ones. I'm telling you, the absolute best.
No, I stick to just normal water, normal people water.
Okay, peasant.
Right there. Is it expensive? It sounds expensive. Like,
no, it's fine. You can find it in bulk at like a Vaughn's out here in California. Vaughn's is what we have here. Trader Joe's, I think.
Oh, wow.
Would have it, but I don't go to
everyone is okay. You know what?
Look at this. Dude, I love those.
Chad is all about this.
Get off my lawn, Ben. Get off my lawn.
All right, Topo Chico. It's all up here. Yeah, I got to come down to Austin. I want a Salt Lick. Put it on the board. I would love to get some good barbecue down there. All right. We've talked about the course. If you guys have questions about that stuff, always drop them in. This show is for you guys. It's Q&A style, but we're going to get into the meat of the show, and it's rank them. I'm going to give you some names. I want you to rank them. Who you're going to be over on, who you're going to be under on. We'll look at the ownership projections here at Awesemo powering this show, and we're going to start at the top of the board with the big boys. We've got Jon Rahm. He is the favorite. He is the most highly owned projected golfer in this field right now, but it's not massive. We see around 25%, give or take, versus Xander, versus Justin Thomas. How do you rank three of the studs in this field?
I mean, Rahm 1, Thomas 2. And then who was the third one that you gave me?
Xander.
So we literally Rahm, Thomas, Xander?
Yeah, Rahm, okay. Thomas, and Xander.
Okay, I thought I misheard you because we skipped two guys that are in between it, but obviously
yeah, you can bring them up. I think for me,
fine.
These are three of the more popular top end guys,
Correct.
And obviously Rahm's the favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Rahm's my favorite. Justin Thomas too, and then Xander. Welcome back to where Xander just gets inflated. Oh, he's from the area. I'm very aware. I've played golf against him a lot in San Diego, and the guy, San Diego Amateur, him and Bo Hostler playing in the group ahead of me. It was like watching dudes play a different game. It was just stupid, but he was also like a young kid out of San Diego State and was just a freak. But Xander Schauffele, I think he just ends up getting a little bit too popular. 10K here for him. Other than the Olympics, like the Century was fine. Everybody scored well at the Century, so it's hard to really know what to take, if anything, out of that appearance. Other than, hey, if you played well, more power to you. Probably not a reason to be getting off. But looking at his fall, just kind of underwhelming by his standards. I would say since the Olympics, not really anything to be super enthusiastic about. Probably a down year by his standards. And, I think there's a lot of people that are looking for a rebound out of him. He just always feels like the guy that DFS players love to click on into the 10K range. And I think just similar to form, I mean, if I'm going to play a popular guy, just give me the number one player in the world who has phenomenal course history in every regard here. And, I said I wasn't going to lean too much into a US Open. Well, I don't think it hurts to win a US Open on the golf course that you're going to appear at when you're the number one player in the world. So definitely going to be Rahm. I have concerns about JT's putter, but at least I'm getting him at a tiny bit of an ownership discount as opposed to Xander. So probably that's going to be my order. How about you?
I'm in line with that. Rahm, he checks every box. It's not as obvious as last week where the drop off was immense, but he's still, you mentioned the US Open was played on this course. He won there. He's won the Farmers. He's the best player in the world. His price is reasonable. He's popular, but he's not like nosebleed popular where, he's 40% owned or anything like that. I think I would start there. I do like Xander. Xander's someone that I feel like I never get overweight on because he's so popular all the time. If he comes in around 15%, I think I can get over there. He struggled immensely at Farmers, but there was never anything that I thought was like in his game where it was like, this is why he struggles there. He just seemingly couldn't perform, and then boom, runner up. And I think that obviously has shown he can do it here. I have no concerns about him. I do want to ask you though, because I know these are the best players in the world. Do you have any interest in doubling up and having Rahm with JT, having Rahm with Decky, Rahm with DJ, Rahm with Xander, something like that?
Probably not. Probably not this week. I think last week you could definitely make a case for going Rahm Cantley. Pretty much came to fruition for most who could go that direction. I was more inclined to take one. We're just so stacked in this field. I think the 9K range is pretty deep. The 8K range, I'm obsessed with. The 7K range, I think there are just so many options. Probably my favorite play in the entire week in the mid 7Ks. So I'm looking at a lot of these guys that I want to be sprinkling in with maybe one of the studs. I just think, if you force yourself into an 11-2 Rahm. Now, if you went to the bottom end, I'd probably be more inclined. You could maybe go Justin Thomas, Xander, and find a way to build that direction. Daniel Berger may be one of the most overpriced guys. I know our projections love him all the time going back to last year. I'm not going to play Daniel Berger at 10K. But if you wanted to do that, I think there's cases to be made for doubling those up. But if you go Rahm, Schauffele, you're probably falling into a lot of the similar builds. The 6K range. I think there's maybe a couple guys that got late added to the 6K range that might be intriguing, but we have too deep of a field, I think, for me to go too nuts double stacking up with two 10K guys.
I'm with you. it obviously can be done, but it's certainly site specific. On DraftKings, I'm not a fan. On Yahoo, I think you absolutely should pay up for 2 or even 3, because you can find 3 $20 players that are just absolutely firmly in play. I like Berger more than you for sure. Long irons, one of the best in the field. The guy's playing out of his mind. This is not the best course for him, and he is overpriced. I'm hoping that the ownership will be depressed a little. Right now, it's showing that that's not going to be the case. I'm hoping we can get around 10%. If I can live with that. If he pushes to 15, 20, that's going to be difficult. But this guy has gained more than 5 strokes tee to green in 5 straight events. Really, really impressive form from Daniel Berger.
I mean, here's the thing. I know that he's always been very underrated as a golfer, like very. I mean, if you go strokes gained total, second in the field here over the course of the last 50 rounds, 3rd tee to green. We're talking about a guy that maybe does it differently by the way his swing looks cosmetically, but there's no doubt that his approach game, number 1 in this field over the course of the last 50 and last 100 rounds. I mean, that's very, very impressive. The guy has been kind of a lot better putting the golf ball of late, like until this little fall season trip up. I mean, last summer, he was very impressive with the flat stick. I've just seen a lot of regression in that standpoint. He lost 3.7 strokes at the Century and finished 5th. I mean, that's how ridiculous he can be ball striking wise. But, you know, as you said, you can get it done a little bit differently around here. Do I want to pay 10K though for a guy that, you know, around the green isn't going to be as sharp as some of these other guys at the top end? Probably not, but I get some of the cases you're making for him.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I'll point out, the putter has been cold, but he has direct POA splits. This is his preferred surface. So I think this is a good antidote to possibly flip that. Berger does make sense. He's just overpriced. I can get on board with that. I can make that work. As we work down, we're going to get to our next 3, but in the middle, I just want to throw a quick one for you. You can give me a yay or nay on Bryson DeChambeau.
I'm probably fighting with what I'm going to do with him more than any other golfer in the field. And I talked about, it's not that he just drives it long. He drives it straight. Like he's pretty freaking amazing when it comes to driving, and you're now getting him sub 10K. And it's just one of those things where if he finds any kind of form around a green, he's going to just destroy fields, and he's got a crazy amount of upside. But I think I'm probably going to bet him at 22-1, like everybody else on planet Earth. And I'm probably going to just not play him in DFS.
That's fair. That's what I did with Dustin Johnson.
Okay.
Literally the same exact thing. I bet him. I don't know how much I'll have on DFS. All right, moving down.
You're betting DJ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
I have no idea if he's in form, and I think similar, even though shockingly people didn't really understand this. We talked about this with Wolf last week. DJ, I think, is the most likely of the north of 10K to get cut. But I think he's one of the best prices, because if he has it, that's a steal. And if he doesn't, well, I don't care if he comes in 9th. I need him to win. And I don't think you're going to get a middle ground too often. I think he's either not ready to play or he's not north of 20-1 in the outright market.
Are you betting Bryson?
I might bet Bryson. It's the same concept. I think Bryson has a pretty high miscut equity relative to the range. But obviously when Bryson gets going, he can blow a field away. He's gonna do that 2 or 3 times this year. You don't know when. So I haven't added him to my card personally, but it's not out of the realm. I totally get why you would bet him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still so upset he didn't cash my plus 600 miscut at the Masters ticket. I still have a grudge. 9 months later, I'm still upset about that. One
of the better hot takes on this very show. That was almost a Dante's Peak level, but we moved to the 9s. And again, you mentioned that you can go a lot of different directions. I'm pulling 3 very interesting names here to throw at you for our rank 'em. We've got Jordan Spieth. We've got Tony Finau, who absolutely loves Torrey South, always plays good here. And then we've got Brooks, who's a little all over the map. How do you rank them? Do you go chalk Finau, or are you going to take a risk with one or the other 2?
Man, I feel like Jason Roslin on this program. I've now recommended Spieth. He didn't play well at the Century, 21st out of the 30 guys or whatever it was that were over there. But I think I'm going to take the ownership discount, 6.8% for Jordan Spieth. You talked about it. Like, this is legitimately a spot where there are a number of different guys, and he's just never putted well. Like, AT&T's played well at times and has done well up north, but he was kind of just riding a hot string of golf during that time that he played well there. Otherwise, POA just hasn't been, definitely not his preferred surface. I will tell you that much. Never putted well here at Torrey Pines before. I think that we could see some regression there at some point. He's just too good around the green to not have a spike week there. We know he can be a very potent, strong iron player who can really pop some of those weeks. And, if it's going to be something where like tee to green, like his driving has been better than what it's been in a long time. And that's just saying that he's like neutral to the field. But like there were times where he's losing like 5-6 strokes. Now, can he probably survive and be okay in that kind of result? Yeah, but there's definitely no chance that Jordan Speed is going to win if he drives the ball, completely poorly. Now it's looked bad of late here, but I'm looking back to last summer's form and his long-term form. His ball striking got so much better off the tee over the course of that season. And I'm just going to kind of write out like the century. He didn't hit his irons well there at all. I think the irons are going to flip here eventually, and you're going to want to be invested. So considering getting him at 1/4 of the ownership of Finau, I do like Finau, but so does everybody else.
I think you and me are on this together. Jordan, so the problem is if Spieth would have shown anything, I'd really like him here. I'm worried he's just not in form with the irons. That is something he's going to need. If he doesn't have that, forget it. But if he does, and it's just typical Jordan Spieth, which is a week off the tee player, good with the irons, and then just world-class short game, I think this is a pretty good spot for him. I know that Farmers historically has not been good to him at all, but I do want to point out Jordan Spieth, when you think about him, he obviously leans on the putter heavier than most. That's just kind of what he does. That's his MO. In all his appearances here, he has gained strokes putting at the Farmers 0 times. And that's going to lead to no upside. Jordan Spieth can't survive without gaining strokes putting. So I'm kind of looking at his results in terms of his course history and saying, I'm going to throw that out because I need Jordan Spieth to show me 5 strokes gain putting. If you give me that, I think he gives you his best finish ever at this event. We'll see. Maybe it's something with the POA. Maybe it's just an outlier. But if there's one guy I'd bet on to get it right on the greens, Jordan Spieth would be that guy. Not a lot of ownership. Definitely in play at 94. I love Finau like everybody else. Odd man out for me is Brooks. If he beats me, so be it.
Yeah, I can't play Brooks. I never play Brooks as is. Like we're talking sub 5%, and I still have no desire, even though he pulled that fake knee, whatever the crap it was, because I was going to play him for the first time ever at the US Open last year. And he starts limping down the stairs and I overreacted. Shocker. Eric overreacting to something, but still Brooks Koepka, I hate you. I'm not going to do it.
Before we move down, I want to ask, because you are the resident Sam Burns expert. He's 9,700. Is this just the guy that you're going to just keep playing, or do you look tournament to tournament with him? Because I don't think it's crazy in PGA to say, this is my guy. I'm just going to play him until the results really change one way or another.
Yeah, we just skipped over him. And I thought that it was just assumed that I'm going to be playing. I think there's like in a normal, no matter what, any golf tournament, I'm going to have 25% of him, maybe more. This is probably the kind of spot where I'm okay just getting to around 25, 30%. Like, he'll still be a stand that I make. I just believe he's too good. And he showed all of last year to prove me pretty right in that regard, because when he's in form, I mean, it wasn't just that he had like, oh, he had a great week here or there. The guy was good start to finish, start to finish. Showed it at multiple different golf courses. Of course, I prefer him when you have Bermuda, but that's going to be kind of what everybody does. He's a little too popular at 17.5% for me to say like, oh, if you were like 10%, I'd be probably in trouble because he'd just be somebody that I got to an ungodly amount of, but he's already pretty popular at that number. I'm okay just getting a little bit above it, but I'm not going to go completely nuts the way I normally might with Sam Burns. Yeah,
and I've been consistently on the other side, and that's not going to change here. I probably will have 0%, to be honest.
Good times.
Yeah, it's nothing against Sam Burns. We're both making our bets, and I think that Sam Burns's 2021 season will be looked at, especially in the short term, as an outlier, not as.
So what are you doing with Aaron Wise?
So Aaron Wise is a couple $1,000 cheaper.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that that's my all-in boy today. So
yeah. I mean,
that's a push to the middle where it's like a guy where we're starting to see a little bit of a trend in his form, but like him and Sam Burns both coming out of college. I mean, Aaron Wise was even more of the it kid than Sam Burns was, but like, I don't know. They just look like identical plays. I understand that they're $2,000 apart, but like, I kind of look at them as like the new age kids. And I mean, I guess I don't know how old Sam Burns is. I know I just did a lot more looking into Aaron Wise, where he's 25, and you would think that he was like 30 with how much I've played him in DFS in my life. But like, it feels like an overpay, and it's like I'm okay playing my guy as an overpay so long as the ownership isn't completely berserk. Now, this is the most ownership I've ever seen in like a full field event for him. I mean, we were rostering him at like the British Open, which didn't go well. I mean, he was like 6K ish. It was like the biggest misprice on the entire board. But like, there's no doubt that if you look at last year, I mean, just start to finish, the guy was incredible. I believe that that's what he's going to be going forward. But yeah, if you don't, then definitely you're going to be on the other side with the 0%.
Yeah. It's just, that's exactly where you're at. I think you just have to stick kind of to that philosophy and monitor. You got to monitor. I'm guilty of that. You can't just dig in and bury your head in the sand like I do with Ricky. But other than that, I think that's one I'm going to have to live with. And if I get that right, I'm really able to get to Berger. I'm really able to get to Scheffler, who I think is live here. Jordan Spieth is there. Will Z played great last week. I get more shares than others who go to Sam Burns. Now, if Sam Burns crushes me, I'm already dead. And that's something that is going to happen because he's a very good player. I just don't think it's this week. What about the 8s, though? Now we start to get into, it could be your second man in if you play Rahm. It could be your third man in a balance build. You've got defending champ Patrick Reed. Max Homa, California kid, is up here. Matthew Wolff, who was as bad as I've seen a golfer in quite some time last week, he is still there. Obviously, the ownership has cratered. Do you go with Reed? You go with Homa? You go with Wolff?
I mean, Reed won this event last year for those keeping track at home. Matt Wolff played the most ridiculous golf. We both liked this guy last week too. I'm like getting my tidbits from my little birds out here in Southern California. He's hitting the ball as well as he's ever hit it before. Okay.
Yeah. Did that person tell you it was going to be the good weather? That was a tough.
No, that person also, I'm like, are you a 15 handicap or like, how are we analyzing this? Probably good for you, but best ball striking you've ever seen. But no, it was just what it is. Like, you're going to have weeks like that. And it's Wolff, and he's going to shoot 78 in spots where, again, he has a lot of moving parts in his golf swing, and as cool and as capable as he can be from time to time, if you find some timing that is not there with that big of a move where you're coming from the inside and you're looping it around your body, it's just a lot harder to repeat, and nobody can convince me otherwise. So he's going to be a high upside, low floor kind of guy. That's always the way he's going to be. I think Max Homa's your rock at 8,400 in this range. Always played well in Southern California, just anywhere in Southern California. Riv, we've played him at Riv. We've played him all over the place in these kind of settings, and he's never really been a guy that isn't going to be there for you. He has win equity. We've seen him now, take down the Fortinet earlier this year, took down, or in this season, should I say, the Genesis, obviously, in that playoff last year. So like, he's a guy that I think just makes sense at 8,400. I know he's one of your guys. What are you doing with him?
Oh, I love Max Homa. One of the core plays. Talk about macro buy. One of my highest. If you told me like golfers who could potentially crash the party in 2022, Max Homa would be on that list. He's just a player, well-rounded. I think this is just a good spot. He can handle this. California POA splits are positive. I don't love the price. I'll be honest. At mid-8s in this field, I think he can justify that. But I was hoping that he would be 78. 100, but I'm okay doing that. Everything checks out for him. I have a little tougher time. So with Wolff, I was hoping that, and I thought there was a chance that he would be legitimately like 2% owned coming off that. And if that was the case, I would absolutely play him. If he hovers around 10%, I might have a share or two, but I think that you can still play the wait and see game with Wolff. Week to week, though, I think you would agree with this. I'm not sure there's a ton of correlation in how he just played and what he would do this week.
Oh, totally. And that's the reason that you would play him. But as you said, it's really hard when you're still spreading aloe vera on your skin from how badly you got burned. It's really, really difficult to want to click on that name. Patrick Reed, again, he drove the ball like absolute dog doo-doo. He's got some issues in that kind of regard. He went to this PXG driver. It's whatever. I don't really know why he's with PXG. Just unlikable in all phases of the game, but he's an elite player. Patrick Reed, you definitely want to click on his name when he's not gaining traction. He's sub 10%. I think I'll get above that number.
Yeah, Reed, I'm kind of indifferent to be honest.
Yeah. Nothing crazy. Just I'm going to get to him.
Yep, that's fair. Our tools, looking at all the tools that Alex and team do, and that's available obviously as part of our PGA package. It's a great time to get in. You can get in there, obviously, awesemo.com/join. You find all our packages from our weekly to monthly. We've got annuals. And if you use PGA Live before lock, you get a little discount, 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. That's going to cover you for all those sports. So just a lot to do there, no doubt about it. But Patrick Reed is just a guy that, yeah, the driving was bad, and I think he made it worse somehow. It's kind of disturbing.
Well done, bud.
Yeah, like he changed, and it's just like, well, not great, Bob. But
who told you though? Because I will say this: you don't always pick up on something like right off the bat, but like last season, coming off of Torrey, I was just like, I feel like he's getting away with murder. Now it could be argued that he cheated to win that event, from those who want to talk about that situation. Once again, I really am not one of those people. Don't really care, but like he's somebody that it feels like was just getting flat. Sorry, I don't know what buzz there. He got flat with the golf club where he was just, it was so hard and laid off coming from the top to the bottom. And then Nick Faldo, I think it was at North Carolina. Rory McIlroy always plays well there. Wells Fargo. Thank you. At the Wells Fargo, Nick Faldo was analyzing his swing and talking about how I just don't know how he's going to be able to get a drive around the planet coming from this far inside. He doesn't make that great of like he's somebody just really depends on his hands and timing to be able to sync it all up. And, at Augusta where it's a little wider, you can get away with it from time to time, but you aren't getting away with it if it's not perfect, at other golf courses. And that's definitely shown to be the case. He went to Bermuda and played well there for a hot second. Well, congratulations on that. Looks like a little bit of an outlier. Again, not going to make a massive stand on it, but definitely somebody at this golf course. No doubt he kind of fits the mold of somebody who can get away with it in the event that you need to be more creative. So he'll be a pairing with certain types of players for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I want to throw out Maverick real quick at 82. I think he's in play. Obviously, another California kid, just well-rounded, kind of on the upswing. But let's dive into the mid-range. Let's get to some of these names that chat's talking about, some hot topics. We got Justin Rose. We've got Joaquin Niemann, who we haven't seen. Mm-hmm. He's just been chilling, but that price is kind of head-turning, in my opinion, if he's in form. And then let's talk about Aaron Wise. So you've got some big-time ownership, big-time names. Rank them for me.
Aaron Wise won. Aaron Wise will be my guy this entire week. Coming into it, he was my first bet on the board, 65-1. That's kind of the prevailing number. Did you see Aaron Wise out there at that number? Because it is beautiful.
I did not bet him, but
you need to. You should, because he's going to win the event. So Aaron Wise, 65-1. It's always been a question of the putter, but like his game almost feels like tailor-made for this kind of a track. He drives it phenomenally well. And sure, you're going to get in some spots where you need to get it up and down. Well, just so happens that at 7,500, he's still really good at getting the ball up and down from around the greens. Top 10 strokes gained around the green in this field over the course of the last 50 rounds. The big bugaboo has always been the putter. Now he's gone to a broom. He's figured out some ways to actually get it in the hole coming from the fall. And I think that if that carries over into this season, you're looking at a guy that you want to be invested in early and often. And, I'm just saying three tournaments for this dude in a row, possibly four, because the Mayakoba, there's no strokes gain data for it, but he finished 15th there. That's 4 tournaments in a row, pretty much with positive putting statistics. And that's like almost unheard of for this dude who, has these slumps where he literally has like -5, -10. We saw like at the Waste Management, when it gets off, it gets really off in the putting department for him. I think if he shored up this part of his game, he is so well-rounded. He can really spike with the approach from time to time too. A well-rounded ball striker, but specifically off the tee, just solid, around the green solid. That's something I want to invest in at Torrey Pines South. Oh, and also from Riverside, California, just around that area. I believe it's Corona that he's from, and that's right up the I-15 from San Diego. So, I mean, I'm sure he's got some familiarity with POA. I'm going to kind of be relying on it this week.
So obviously Aaron Wise is a guy that I've played for a long time. And when he got on tour, he wasn't a bad putter. He was actually a really good putter. And then he lost it completely. So I do think, and we talk about this a lot with guys who are injured or just guys who lose it, I'm not sure how you evaluate Aaron Wise with long-term form, because I think the data is probably bad if he fixed it all. Like, yes, his course history is terrible, but some of those years, every history was bad. He played bad everywhere he went. So it wasn't kind of exclusive to Farmers. So I think the two angles that you want to take, one would be the negatives. Aaron Wise hasn't played in 2022. We have not seen him in a couple months. He's extremely popular. He's the obvious mid-range target. If you want to blindly back a guy in terms of a fade that no one has seen, that can always be lucrative because there's a chance he's just not in form and this is just a tune-up. Now, on the flip side, where I think we both are, Aaron Wise hasn't missed a cut since April of 2021. He's playing fantastic. He's gained tee to green in every tournament since then except 2. The putter has been somewhat positive lately. The guy made the cut in all 4 majors 2 years ago. Like, he can play with the best in the world. There's no doubt about it. And this price is just not correct if he's in form. I'm obviously backing him. I'm going to be buying on Aaron Wise until something changes. But getting him out of there, you have Luke List right next to him. He is in the same boat. He is extremely popular. Do you feel the same way about List?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he was my guy last week. I came on here and swooned over Luke List. 22nd, nothing was super inspiring. The putter was negative per usual. Knew that was going to probably happen at some point, but still just such a good ball striker and so good around the green. And that kind of combination can make up for a lot in some of these spots, especially on a golf course that this isn't going to be something where it's 24 under. Thank God. This is not going to be a free spoon-fed birdie fest. And I think that a guy like Luke List is going to bode well in that kind of circumstance. Same thing with Aaron Wise, where you can kind of do it in 2 aspects. You can drive it phenomenally well. You can also save your ass around the green a little bit. I think that finding that kind of combination, I think it's kind of a rarity to be able to have those two really combined, but those two are going to be paired in a lot of lineups. Now, I'm going to probably have to pair them with some other guys that it's going to have to reduce some ownership somewhere, but I mean, I think they're getting the most ownership there. I was a week early here. It looks like I played a ton of Luke List last week and obviously thought that he was going to be very live to win that golf tournament. Didn't really get out of the gate hot with back-to-back 70s, but 66, 69 over the weekend. He didn't do anything to get me off of him this week.
Yeah, I mean, List also makes sense. You want to be a little cautious with the obvious build, which is like pairing him with Wise and then building up top. That's not going to probably work, but yeah. I think you've got it. In terms of the other guys before we move down, I think Justin Rose is fine. I mean, he's obviously able to really mask a lot with his putter. He's got plenty of experience. We've seen him. We saw him last week. He was just standard, uneventful, but I like he got some reps in. Neiman's a wild card. We haven't seen him. I think that 7,700 is a good price, but we just have not seen him. What do you do when you haven't seen a guy for the first 3 events?
Well, you just look at the guys around him and you know that he's a better caliber of player than the likes of a Cameron Tringali. And I mean, Molinari just got done playing ridiculously well and has a major, so I don't want to besmirch him too much, but Tom Hoagie, you know, guy who played very well last week, obviously second, you needed him. Alexander Noren, he's just a better player, better pedigree. Joaquin Niemann is going to be a world-class player for a long time. Now, you know, I can't just cherry pick my spots on guys that haven't played yet and say that, oh, I love Aaron Wise, but I don't love Joaquin Niemann. How can you not love the fact that he's coming in at around 7 to 8% on a guy like Joaquin Niemann? It's just it's a talent relative to ownership play for me. And, you know, if you were to not play golf for a year and you were to come back and be 7,700 in this field at this price, you would still want to click on his name.
Yeah, I think you got to be willing to take those risks. You're going to get burned sometimes, but when you get one of those guys ready to play, the ownership gap, the ownership discounts, and our tools identify those guys as some of the leverage, which is why I really recommend taking a look at some of those. All right, let's keep working down here. We'll get into our bets. And I do want to say very quickly, one, if you're new, and we always have some new users, new viewers each time we do this show, welcome. It's great to have you guys in the channel. If you're enjoying it, you're having some fun, if you can hit that like button, it really helps us out, support the show, keep it free. And if you want to join in, just press subscribe, totally free. Obviously, you join the community, you get those notifications because we do a ton of content here. But if you're saying, you know what, I also like betting and you like to bet some golf, Odds Shopper YouTube channel. It's our new YouTube channel. We've been growing it very quickly. You can go subscribe there, check out the videos. We've got plenty of picks, one and done, all the things that you're going to want from here, college basketball picks, NFL picks, NBA picks, just a really, really good time over there. And of course, oddchopper.com is really where you want to go for all that information on the betting side. But we get into some of the cheapies now. Hey, Ricky, Ricky Fowler, Joel Dahman, Aaron Rye, some of our favorite names. Look at that. Tyler on top of it. You see my face. That was not my decision to put my face on the graphic, but it's what they do on that channel.
Beautiful. That's a great hair day.
Yeah, that's always synonymous with me. What do you do in the low sevens? Do you play any of these guys? How are you approaching that?
So it's interesting because I have a feeling that, I saw Cameron Champ. I did not expect somebody to say Cameron Champ in the chat. I'm not prepared for rostering Cameron Champ, but I'm pretty sure that this is the spot where, like, if you're trying to trim ownership, you got to be willing to take some shots. Now, Hudson Swafford is obviously confirmed probably in form. He came off of a made cut at the Sony, ends up winning, played phenomenal those last 3 rounds. If you had told me somebody could have shot a 70 in the middle of that golf tournament and still won it, would have been pretty improbable. So that tells you how well he played rounds 2 through 4. I think, even though I'm not saying that he's going to go out and win the golf tournament, I think he's an intriguing buy back in. Now, it's emotional. He lost his dad a month ago. I don't know how to analyze that. All I know is he's sub 3%, and he seems to be in good form. I feel like he's a guy that at sub 3% I do want to invest in. Joel Dahman, sub 5%, is somebody that just got done playing horrendous at the Sony, but it's like, it's one tournament. We can't lose our minds about something like that. So Joel Dahman is sub 5%. I think Ricky Fowler, as gross and grotesque as it might feel coming off of his inability to do anything at PGA West, it's like, what are you going to do at Torrey? I think he's just low enough. Like, you've got to take some shots on some of these guys. And I think Cameron Champ's probably my least favorite, but I legitimately think there's a case for Hudson Swafford, Matt Jones, Kevin Streelman, all of these guys to at least be parts of the portfolio in an overweight approach, especially if you're going to go up to Rahm like me.
So the good thing is you can get over on these guys with not a lot of ownership. So you're able to play a bunch of them. Chat mentioned Mito. We haven't seen him. I think you could play him. I'm probably not going to, not a Mito fan, but I think the price is more than reasonable. I'm just not sure exactly how his game translates. Cam Davis is right there, who played pretty well. I think Dahman is fine. Patrick Rogers is there at 71. Doug Gim is on some of my teams for sure. I think these are guys that just, again, made cut, miscut is probably a coin toss, but scoring wise, they can attack the par 5s. You're going to need guys in the lower 7s. There's no doubt about it. For me, I think if I had to play, and it's not a range where I'm honing in by any stretch, I think it would be Gim would be one I'd try to make room for. I feel okay with Dahman and even Cam Davis. I don't think Ricky is going to make it this week. He was so bad. He was awful last week, even for Ricky.
It was pretty bad.
It was sad. Okay, let's keep it moving. We got the cheapies. We got Kyle Stanley, who I do like. Danny Lee, who did some things. I wish we had more time because Danny Lee did,
I don't know. I don't know if I can talk about it because I put him in my $100, my $33, like all my main single entry lineups.
I've never seen anything like that. Now, in truth, I don't think it was his fault. I think he hit the rocks, but he cleared the wrong side of a par 3 island. He wasn't wet after his first shot, but he wasn't on the green, and it's an island hole.
But he was wet on the second shot. Yes. And then he went back and he almost hit it over into the other water. It was really bad. And it was one of those things where after the first round, he shoots 7 under, and I feel like a genius and everybody's happy with me. My lineup sucked at that point. And it's weird because my lineups actually took a turn for the better. And Danny Lee, that was the worst sweat I can ever remember for a guy. I mean, he was like 0.5 or 0.6% owned and everything.
What he does.
But like, he can spike. And to watch it from the other side, he shot 74 at La Quinta Country Club. You know how bad that is for a PGA Tour golfer to shoot 74 at La Quinta Country Club in perfect weather? That third round was
I don't personally, but it doesn't sound good.
It's bad. It's bad.
All right. Well, what about Thigala?
Sure. I mean, Southern Cal, just ride it. Why not? Let's group our lineups by Southern California guys. Let's just do that. Let's play all the Pepperdine, all the UCLA, all the Cal, all the guys.
UCLA in basketball tonight. It's going to be a good test for them, but that's different story for a different time. Any love for Barjan, Hodges, or Riley? So that's a lot of guys that played really well last week. For me, no. Riley, if I had to choose.
Davis Riley, if I had to choose, I'm not going to play either.
Yeah, I'm not chasing those guys, though. Any other cheapies? in terms of guys, say you do go north of 10, or you play Rom and like Finau.
There's a guy.
There's a guy. It's not Jaeger again, is it?
No, I mean, we're talking you're giving me the entire 6K.
The floor is yours. We got about 10 minutes
6,100, Austin Eckro. I don't know if you remember my diatribe about this guy when we were going into the Bermuda, but I played like nearly 100% of him. He finished 22nd at the Bermuda, played pretty well, but this kid coming out of Oklahoma State is a stud. Be on the alert. He's a late ad. So I don't know what his ownership's going to get to. I was shocked to see that I just refreshed just now and saw 7.5% because he was a late ad to this golf tournament. He's a late ad. Yes, Austin Eckro. You need to roster him in bulk at 6,100.
He's not going to be, I will just say this. I think that I would be stunned if he's even over 5%. I think that's even pushing it.
Let me just say it's going to be the most invested that I am. And again, I'm still not looking to double up a lot in the 10K range, but if I do, I can guarantee you probably Austin Eckroat's going to be in the lineup. He's going to be in a ton of my lineups. So when I talk about talent, now we can go on, and not just the Ricky Fowlers of the world. Oklahoma State just has thoroughbreds coming out of there. This is another one of those dudes. Just get ready because he can play some serious golf. Now, he's shown it a lot more at the collegiate level, and somebody that, you watch a lot on the Golf Channel, and you have certain, you just kind of hear rumblings and talks about guys. People talk about Austin Eckroat. He is going to be very good at the PGA Tour level, and he's 6,100. And I'm not going to just go nuts with him, play him in 100% of my lineups or something like that. Yeah. But I can tell you one thing: I'm going to be massively overweight, even to what that 7.5% is going to be. The most viable sub 6,300 player I've seen in a long time.
Well, you should have saved that all for the hot takes, but
he's there, top 10. We're going to bet him top 10.
No, okay. I mean, Aaron, whatever this guy's Austin
Eckroat.
Good for him. Don't know what he looks like because his picture's a giant flag. So I'll have to keep an eye out for his caddy's name. I'll probably throw him on a couple teams. You convinced me, not on my radar. I don't think I need to dip that low, but it's good to know that if you do, you have a name that you really like. For me, Love. Look at that. I think you're going to want to fall in the mid sixes, the kind of like the Hardy, Griot, Stallings range. I think I'm okay there. I have no problem with those guys. Thigala is 65.
Hubbard late ad.
Okay, that's reasonable. Uline 62, but that's more, if you're looking for a tax write-off, I think. I'm not sure I'd go there early in the year.
Yeah, 11 months to go to pay that one off.
It's not great down here. I think this is part of the reason why you were saying at the beginning you don't really like to double jam, because there's a big drop-off. The mid-sevens this week would crush the mid-sixes. Last week, I didn't think that was the case.
Yeah, but this week we also, and that's what I'm saying, is that I'm 100% in agreement with you, but just roster, again, I'm happy to take all of your vitriol next week on Wednesday if Austin Eckroat misses the cut, because it's very, very live. But the dude should never be, and I'm just saying from now on, here on out, I will bet his top 10 in any golf tournament he appears in automatically. He's 30-1. You're going to give me 30 golf tournaments of this dude, and you're going to say that he's not going to finish in the top 10 one time? Get out of here. I'm calling it right off the bat. You're going to want to invest in him early. Even top 20, just fire up that 12-1.
All right. I'm going to put these on, and we're going to recap this next week. Norlander's a good call by chat. No problem with that. Villegas, Wolf. Yeah, you can
I talk about Norlander quick? Because he's another guy that I had bookmarked. He finished second in this event last year, and it was one of the strangest, sitting on my couch and watching a guy play a golf tournament, because I was like, is he actually good? And he's shown some upside from here and there. I know we invested in some of the weaker field events, Barbasol coming off of the John Deere, where he kind of had some signs of life. And, he finished fourth at the Sanderson Farms, and we were on him that week, but those are just super, super weak events. He's played this golf course very, very well. And I think that for a sub 7K guy, I think he has kind of the right makeup to do it again. He's legitimately going to be very good with his irons, very good long iron player, which is really what sticks out with me with him. 20 strokes gain approach, I guess, in the entire field over the course of the last 50 weeks. Now the putter can be atrocious. It can be very, very bad, but sub 6,700, I'm willing to invest in some of those spike weeks. Amex doesn't inspire a whole heck of a lot here. Not the strongest dude off the tee, but he goes through spurts. And I think he's somebody that if, the Amex, he finished 12th last season, second at the Farmers. He kind of rode a nice little small pocket in the spring there. Waste Management 22nd, AT&T 26th. I think that this is kind of the spot to probably take some shots. 6,700 on him. You could do worse.
Fair enough. Again, it's not to say there aren't guys down here. JT Poston, another name. Hadley, Chad just brought up. He really struggles around the green. I'm not sure I'm there on him, but you're just going to have some flyers in these ranges. But all right, we got a couple minutes left. You mentioned some of your bets already. Anyone else you want to throw out there for the betting card?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, Austin Eckro across the board, 201 winner, 30 to 1. I mean, just for like $5 or something. I don't care. Just on that. But the 10 to 1, I'm definitely going to invest in. The 12 to 1 on the top 20. I think that that's a great investment. The 30 to 1, you should never be 30 to 1 top 10. I'm telling you right now. We'll bookmark this for later. I'm going to put a little sticky note. January 25th, the day that I called Austin Eckro. Well, actually, I called it before we went to Bermuda last year, too. I think he's going to be a stud on the PGA Tour in the next year or two. So I'm invested there. Somebody that I also want to get to, and we haven't talked about, is Jason Day. He's 16 to 1 for top 10 here. I think I'm going to be going a lot of top 10s along with like Luke List, 12 to 1. I think finding 2 or 3 guys out of a card of about 10 players, I'm going to kind of round it out in that mid-range with a lot of these top 10s. I think John Rahm is so live to win here, 6 to 1, that it's just really hard for me to want to go and invest a ton of these guys outside of the big, just glaring thing is 22 to 1 Bryson DeChambeau. I have to click on that.
Fair enough. One quick, small little thing. Days, that's a top 5 number, 16. But his top 10 number, also very good. I'm on that 7 to 1. I think you can make a case for him.
8 to 1.
That is totally reasonable. So I'm with you there. I'm going to throw one more out. And again, Discord, Odd Shopper YouTube channel. You can get all the betting picks, everything, interact with us, find the full cards. But I do want to point out that Aaron Wise, one other way that you can get exposure to him to make the cut is minus 126. I think that's a pretty good number. That's basically, is he going to make the cut? Somewhat 50-50. I think he's more than 55% to make this cut. He's made 14 straight cuts. I think he's going to be in form. I think he's going to look good. That's one way to get exposure. Or if you aren't playing him and you're taking maybe a middle there, say, you know what, I'll bet him to make the cut and hope he comes in like 40th. I win my bet, but he doesn't hurt me in DFS. That's a little thin, but I think you could justify it. For outrights, I already mentioned, I think DJ, I think Scheffler is kind of interesting. I'm going to save my other one for my hot take, but we got a couple minutes. What do you say we build a quick lineup here?
Love it.
All right. It's time. We're going to build a lineup. Then we're going to give some hot takes. You have the honor. Pick our first guy in this lineup, and then we will go from there, depending on what you do. If it's this Eckro character.
Can I start with him? That would be hilarious.
Why
Austin
not?
Eckro, 6,100. First player in your lineups this week.
Just remember, Chad,
I have problems.
I only steer the show, but just like the guy who was trying to dodge that iceberg, you can only do so much in some of these things. It could be unavoidable danger. Left. Go to the left. I'm going to put in Scottie Shaffler. I'm going to give you the option. You can still get someone above him, but if not, we could go very balanced as well. So we've got Austin Eckro, who might not even be on the thing. No, he's there. There he is.
Yeah, but we can't click on him in green because he hasn't been added. So we're going to avoid that. We'll let you start. We'll do a normal person lineup here. We'll do a normal person lineup.
Keep going. We got it. We got
Austin Eckro. Oh, great. Scottie Shaffler getting clicked in there as well.
Yeah.
Hard for me. We didn't talk. So that wasn't somebody that we had talked about on this show. Scottie Shaffler, another guy we haven't talked about. Maverick McNeely. Yeah, he's going to be popular at 15%, but another dude I believe in. There's these young caliber of players that are just so polished. He is one of them. All around really, really solid golf game. 27th wasn't super inspiring at Sony. Didn't do anything to get me off of him here again this week. Can be a phenomenal putter from time to time. If he spikes one of those weeks, you are definitely going to run into the winner's circle sooner rather than later with McNeely.
Let's keep it going right next to him and Max Homa. Everything you said about Maverick, I feel pretty good about Homa. Same concept, California kid. Form is good. He can play here. He's won at Wells Fargo. I comp Quail Hollow to this course. Give me Max Homa and we'll still have plenty of money for our final 2 spots.
It's interesting because I was literally thinking about that comp like all week long, Quail Hollow. And I just couldn't even think of the name of the golf course at the top of my head. But Wells Fargo, I was like, the golf course Rory plays well at.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how it should be known as. He basically owns that thing. Ironic that Justin Thomas won a major there. Like doesn't feel like his golf course.
If we did ROIs by course, let me tell you, Wells Fargo, Quail Hollow, I always do good at Quail Hollow. Not shocking because Rory and Ricky always play good there. So I'm
gonna fire a guy up so that you can go back up and spend here again.
Sure.
Somebody else that we didn't talk about. Ryan Palmer plays this golf course really well. Like he has really good course history out here. 8,100. Everybody talks about him being a Texas guy. Well, this is a golf course where driving can be important and getting it up and down can be important. He can check both of those boxes. So Ryan Palmer at 8,100, another guy that out of my 150, I'm just going to find myself getting to double the field.
Looked good at Sony. Gotta be crisp with his irons because his around the green game is not that good. Now, this is perfect. It leaves us with $9,700. So we can go all the way up and we can see who's available. If you were building this team, we would click in Sam Burns. I will absolutely not do that. I'm going to click in Jordan Spieth.
There you
We're
go.
going to leave 300. It's a great large field tournament. Obviously, this is going to be very unique. You don't have to worry about that. But I think Spieth blends well. He has to putt. He has not shown that at Torrey. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just can't putt on this POA. I'm not ready to say that at all. I'll bank that Spieth's irons can flip. Again, large field tournament. This is the kind of lineup I can get on board with, pending the guy that you claim is a real player is a real player. That we don't know, but we're going to find out. He just needs to make the cut.
God, I'm so nervous now. Like legitimately, why do I do this to myself? Because again, you put in your research, you find the guy and you're just like, oh shit, Austin Eckro just got added to this field. Fire it all up with no abandon.
No, that's the way to do it. Take it from someone that has a lot of jackass takes over the years. It's better to go with your gut and trust it, because when you get it right, it feels great. And if you get it wrong, you know what? At least you took a shot. We could sit here and say, oh, play wrong. Like, yeah, Rom, good one. That's not why people, this is the type of stuff. If you're right, you can really create an edge for yourself. And no better time to lead us into hot takes, because it feels like this whole show has been one giant hot take. I assume that this guy is your hot take, or do you have other things in the arsenal here?
I mean, it has to be, right? Like I can't.
It just has to be.
It has to be now. I want to have something else. I could probably go back or whatever, but I haven't been this excited. We can't go back. We could just go on a lost reference tangent here.
Yeah,
gotta go back, Jack.
That guy was on the island, I think.
He was on the Austin Eckro. Sounds like a dude that was one of the others, no doubt about it. But 6,100, I'm telling you, there are certain guys that I've just kind of said they're going to be a thing. Sam Burns, I thought was going to be a thing. Aaron Wise, it's taken a while. It's taken a lot longer, but I think he's going to once again be a thing. This is another guy that I'm just kind of planting my flag, where Austin Eckro is going to be a top 50 player in the world sooner than you think. Like in the next 2 years, you're looking at that time frame. He's going to be that kind of a guy. He could go on one of these runs like he had in college, and you're looking at a dude at 6,100 that is just way, 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 way underpriced for what his ability is.
Whew. That is spicy, but that's why you're on the show. And chat, I hope you enjoyed that. Again, one last call. If you could hit that like button, we'll see if we push up over the century mark before we bounce on out of here. And again, if you're watching, hit that subscribe button as well. All right, my hot take is a guy that he's a frustrating player, but you know what? He quietly is starting to find it, and I don't mean with the putter. At Sony, he came in 27th, and he lost 4.6 strokes with the putter. That's just what he does. He gained 8.3 tee to green. Kyle Stanley.
Yeah, I knew
Kyle Stanley can handle this course. He's 6,900. He's plus 850 for a top 20. I think he can absolutely do that, and I'm getting north of 8-1. Fire me up with Kyle Stanley gets in the mix. He was 18th at this event last year. He's got plenty of experience at Farmers. He was a runner-up here way back in 2012. The guy knows what he's doing. The ball striking is always there. The putter is never there. Even if he loses, you could cash this. If you get 0 strokes gained putting, I think you'll be right there. My hot take is that Kyle Stanley cashes that ticket for me. Top 20 at plus 850. One of the sneakier guys to add to the betting card this week.
The Nike man himself. Let's ride.
I like it. There you have it. We have talked a lot of Farmers. Get those lineups in. And again, if you have any questions, at Jazz DFS, at Eric Lindquist, you'll be seeing plenty of golf coverage all year from us. And Tyler behind the glass did a great job as usual. For everyone here at Awesemo, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Good luck. Enjoy the golf. And we will be back next Wednesday talking more PGA.